Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Hoff. This is OCR Blog TV, and I am currently in London for Frieze Art Fair Week. And I'm excited to bring to you today a conversation I had with UK-based artist Natasha Caruana, a London-based artist working across photography, moving image, and installation. Caruana has an MA in photography from the Royal College of Art, London. Her work begins autobiography, exploring narratives of love, betrayal, and fantasy, underpinned by a performative and playful approach. Her work is created drawing from archives, the internet, personal accounts. The series Married Man breaks with traditional portrayals of infidelity, whilst later works grapple with the institution of marriage, its promises and defeats. She is a senior lecturer of photography at the University of the Arts London. And Natasha just recently had an early career survey show titled A Lover's Discourse at the New Centre de la Photographie de Montjuïc, France. The exhibition brought together fragments across 8 series of works from the past 16 years, and Caruana's works have toured widely across the United States, France, Lithuania, Portugal, India, China, Australia, Saudi Arabia, and included in numerous contemporary photography catalogs, printed monographs, and she's just done a ton. I've known Natasha nearly 20 years now, and it was just great to catch up with her here in London. And I'm excited to bring you this conversation about her work and also her artist community platform, Work Show Grow. So those of you that are artists that are looking for support, knowledge, learning, wisdom of how to navigate the art world, you're really going to want to stick around for this and learn about her platform, Work Show Grow. So without further ado, let's meet Natasha. Natasha, welcome. It's great to see you. Yeah. We have a long history. We go back 20-something years now at this point. It's great to be in London. It's great that you took some time out to come be in conversation with me. And so I'm excited to talk about your work and Work Show Grow, but I guess I'm going to start with your work. Your work often explores intimacy, secrecy, and the private rituals of relationships, and I'm wondering what first drew you to these themes.
Mm-hmm. So I just got completely distracted, and I just thought how amazing it is that we're sitting here together. Yeah, right. Like how long? 20 or so years longer, because I think I want to put it on the record. You're one of my first supporters. So in my whole career, which you're asking me about, and my work, my practice, and the fact that I work with love and messiness and relationships, in terms of relationships, you were there at the very beginning, which is incredible. You gave me my first ever solo show, which is amazing to think that that was 2006. Yeah. So that was... How long is that? 21 years ago?
Yeah.
24 years ago.
No, 19.
19?
But probably 20. Closer
20.
Because we started talking.
We met 20 years ago. Yeah. We met 20 years ago.
And your show was in 2006.
Yeah, 2006. It was amazing. And for my practice, I mean, it's really evolved from that time, like 20 years, but I have always stayed with this subject matter of relationships and interrogating relationships through multiple different mediums, whether it's photography or film or sculpture or drawing or VR or installation. Right. But the thread has gone throughout, which is really investigating what is the human connection, why do certain people connect or not connect. And also I really find myself drawn to investigating why is it we play out this performance, this kind of why do we perform relationships in the way we do? And of course, Disney has a lot to answer to, the prince and the princess. Sure. Right. Yeah, exactly. But my work is very long term. So I would take on a topic and I'll work for like 1 or 2 years researching it. And I work institutionally. So I work with museums, organizations. I work in what we call public institutions in the UK. So it's like public funded by the government. So not so much the commercial space, more around art for all. So if your work's in a museum, for example, in the UK or in Europe, anybody can walk through the door and anybody can encounter that work to think about their own relationships. And that's a space that is really important for me to occupy.
Wonderful. And you like to play with truth and fiction and photography. And How do you see storytelling working in your images?
Mm-hmm. So storytelling in my images it's all storytelling.
Yeah.
So my work is autobiographical. So I often start from a place of intrigue, or maybe something's frustrating me that I've seen. And I think, okay, how can I delve into this? But interestingly, it often isn't a project when it starts. It's just something that I'm collecting or thinking about. And then over the course of the time of me developing it, it becomes ready to bring the audience in. So, for example, the Married Man piece that I made, where I was investigating why is it that, how is the internet changing relationships today? The fact you can go on an app and you can meet someone that's married. So I thought, what has happened to the institution of marriage? So I became a mistress and I role played for 18 months. I went on 54 dates with married men without them knowing that I was actually making an art piece. And there's no faces. It's not about the individual stories. It's about storytelling from the perspective of what's happening across those tabletops. How is the affair being performed? And then how's it actually happening in reality? So, for example, we often see in films and newspapers, oh my God, having an affair, scandal.
Right.
And it's a certain image that you have in your mind of an affair. But when I was there across the tables from these men, I became a marriage counselor. And you would never imagine someone would go on a date and talk all about their wives to somebody they potentially wanted to be with. But that was, that's the power of art. I'm able to show things that aren't in the forefront of public perception. They're not as what we imagine the narrative to be. So in terms of storytelling, I play with what our assumptions are and our stereotypes are, and try and always show a different perspective.
Wonderful. Your projects often involve your own participation or performance, and I know this is kind of a big question, but what does self-involvement open for you creatively?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I did mention about the Married Man piece,
Yeah.
and me, that was really labor intensive to go on those multiple dates and to be part of the story, to be performing as the story, to be performing as a character in the story. But, it started with me. So I wanted to investigate what happened to me. I had a married man that came into my life, completely changed my life, changed the course of my life for the better. But he happened to be married and I had to keep it a complete secret. So I was always thinking, well, okay, the truth is I can't tell the truth. But in terms of, it's an affair, it's betrayal, it was something that couldn't be talked about. It had to be really hidden. But for me, it made a massive impact in my life. So I wanted to get back into that position. And I was reading Sigmund Freud at the time, Beyond the Pleasure Principle. And there was one particular sentence that popped out for me where he said, repeat something that's traumatic until it becomes pleasurable. So I was like, what if I repeated the idea of seeing Married Man over and over and over again? That's why I went on these 80 dates. I repeated this performance of seeing married men to see how things would change for myself. But that isn't necessarily part of the work at the end. It was just a way for me to be in the work, because when you're putting yourself in your work, I think it's good to have a bit of a framework of why you're doing it. And also to have a sense of, it gives you a sense of control, I think, and a sense of masking, because I felt like, hey, I can just put this mask on, hypothetical mask, and go and have that date. And it's not really me that's there. It's the artist that's there. And then you can go back to your day-to-day life. And then in the meantime, you're creating a piece of work.
Yeah. I'm really curious about the feedback you got from that piece, from people. I imagine it was across the board, probably.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very early piece for me. It really launched my career. And it wasn't what I expected. I started it during an MA, and I kind of didn't finish it, but I finished it afterwards. And when I first put that work out, completely went viral. So it was, viral on Twitter at the time, as it was. It was in the Huffington Post. Like, it was just on so many different platforms. And at the time, I still had my phone number on my website. And so I actually had a lot of married men call me up and ask me, will you go on a date with me? I had a lot of online trolling as well. And because I think what was really difficult about that work for people is I never gave my opinion of whether affairs were right or wrong.
Right.
I just showed people a different way of looking at the idea of betrayal, the idea of an affair. And so people got very frustrated about that. But it launched a lot of conversations.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, so how has the digital landscape that we're all confronting now with AI and everything, how's the digital landscape changed the way you think about love, identity, and connection?
Mm-hmm. So the digital landscape for me, the way it's changed is I feel more recently it's been making me want to get back to my hands and slow things down. I did actually do a really large residency with Data as Culture, which was run by Open Data Institute. And Open Data Institute was set up by Sir Tim Berners-Lee and Nigel Shadbolt. If you don't know, Sir Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web.
Yeah, right.
So imagine doing a residency in the space that is the inventor of the internet. What a privilege as an artist. So I kind of did bring in a lot of data and a lot of thinking about digital space in work. And more recently, like I've just literally last week with this new piece that I'm just starting, having meetings about going into the dark room and being in the dark room. And obviously when you're working in the color dark room, it takes a long time. And I feel as though I just want to slow things down. I want to be with my hands and I want there to be no distraction, because I feel personally that I've been very distracted by, AI is amazing. It's such an incredible tool, but everything is suddenly so quick and so easy to get the answers. Right. Everything's on the touch of your fingers like never before. And that is incredible for some things. But I believe for my artwork, I just need things to be a bit slower because I've always worked slowly, and slowness gives me time to really allow the work to evolve. When you can even pop in a problem, on AI and say, oh, how would you approach this? Or what references is this? It kind of removes the serendipity in a way for me, which is what I love, like the development and the ebb and flow of a piece of work. So it's making me slow down.
Wonderful. Okay, looking across your career, how do you see your practice evolving? Are there threads that are continuing to surprise you at this time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the threads that continue to surprise me is this returning to love. I feel it's been a long time that I've made work about this, and it still seems to be sticking of the idea of relationships. But I did a piece around my mother's relationships and around her dating, but also brought in her physical and mental health and how that impacted her dating. So I kind of use different characters that come in on the body of work, but I feel like I've lost my train of thought on that question. Maybe that was the hard one.
Well, what threads are emerging or continuing to surprise you?
Continuing to surprise, yeah.
Love
is continuing to surprise me. I think having a daughter now, I have a whole new. I mean, they say that there's 7 versions of love,
right?
But we only ever think about one version of love, and I think the 7 versions of love is really coming into my life a lot more now. Particularly as I've been very busy the last few years making a chosen family and making a family of friends, as life has thrown different curveballs at me. And, there's deep relationships that I'm having with friends I hadn't really had in a family capacity before. And then bringing a daughter in the fold, trying to fight for my practice in between all of that. But I still am returning to the narratives of love in my work. So the surprising thing is wanting to get back to my hands and having slowness, but in a way, even though it's unsurprising that I'm still sticking to the same topic, it's quite surprising that I'm still here doing it 20 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. Okay, we're going to pivot a little bit, and I want to talk about your amazing project, Work, Show, Grow. And maybe for the people who don't know what is Work, Show, Grow, you can maybe tell a little bit about it and how did it begin?
Yeah. So Work, Show, Grow is the other side. I mean, I suppose it is part of my practice. When I've always been a natural mentor and teacher, an educator, and kind of this world of social media. I kind of had the Natasha Caruana account, and teaching and putting educational, I suppose, content, I felt like I wanted a separate place. So I just created a separate account for that. And I called it Work, Show, Grow, which is like you work, you show, you grow, kind of a name that I really didn't think much of, just like threw it out there, like messy action. And then it just was sitting there for a couple of years, and I'd do a workshop every now and then under it. And then COVID happened, and COVID presented so many incredible opportunities of connection, being able to work globally for the first time without having to pay for anyone's flights. And because I had been working in the digital space, I've been working at open data, I've been having Zoom meetings, I had already quite a sense of the possibilities. So just as COVID was happening, I had created a program of events, straight away off the back. And every day for a month, we had a free artist event every day, whether it was a talk, a connection, you did one yourself.
I did, yep.
And it was a time where people really appreciated that there was something every day for people to come together. And then from that, as the months went on, as we know, people were asking for more in-depth workshops. And can we do a weekend one? Or how can we do crits, where every month we get together and talk about our work in progress? So we decided that myself and my husband, Simon, we decided that we would create a business around it. And in the middle of this, I found out I was pregnant, and Simon was working in the theatre industry in commercial print, and all the theatres were closed. We didn't know what was going to happen in the future. So we decided to just create this business, register a limited company and create a school, which was an art school, but a disruptive online art school where we talk about the whole artist. So it's not just professional practice, it's not just technical support, it's the holistic artist. So we talk about resilience, we talk about personal development, we talk about facing the fear and doing it anyway, we talk about wellness. And it's so exciting to bring something unique into the art space where we really hold and develop the full artist, the whole artist, to support them with their practice.
Wonderful. Now the project has become a thriving community for artists. What needs or frustrations in the art world were you responding to when you created it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I suppose at the time we were responding to the fragmentedness of the art world, everything being closed. So we created a space where everything was open. You could still connect. You could still, get inspiration. So originally it was just the immediacy of bringing people together. And then as it's evolved, it's become a space where people can absolutely get support and get championed. So we really champion sharing, and we really champion also acknowledging where you are in your journey. So when you go to art school, obviously you have years and you have hierarchies, whereas inside Work, Show, Grow, if somebody's further down the line, I'm always saying that, isn't it amazing? We've got people that are just starting out, and you can reflect on how you felt when you were there. And equally, the people starting out can see and share from people that are further down the line. So we really have this natural cross-pollination between journeys inside people's art practice.
Great. And you emphasize collaboration over competition.
Mm-hmm.
How does that ethos shape the culture of Work, Show, Grow?
Yeah. So I suppose on a practical level, everything happens quite a lot behind closed doors in the art world. Yeah. From how is it you got that gallery show? How did you get that funding? How did you win that open call? So inside Work, Show, Grow, people generally, we have a Slack community, which is, our Slack channel is our day-to-day hub. And people would share, for example, their, hey, I'm applying for this competition. Here's the Google Doc of the application. So people might apply for the same competition together, and they would support each other with their applications. People might, when they do their monthly crit, they might talk about, this is my funding application, and help each other with the funding application. So we have a real ethos, which I say is like learning in the open. So everyone learns in the open, and that really drives a lot of support, but also it creates collaboration because people know what they're doing. On a Monday, we have a Monday manifesto. So people write down their jobs they're going to get done that week, like non-negotiables, normally professional and personal. We always say, add the rest in there, add the 3 times a week exercise. And so people get to see what other people are doing. So it's that openness that creates the collaboration.
That's great. How has running a community influenced your own practice?
Yeah, it's definitely a juggle, and
Yeah.
it is. I mean, I do a lot of things. You know, I work in university 3 days a week. I run Work Show Grow, or co-run it with Simon, my partner, and then I have my art practice. And then I have motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I do need to, now my daughter's gone to school. She's just started. I always said in my mind, like, when she's at school, we're going to switch things up a bit, and I have to carve out more of a boundaries for my work.
Mm.
But also I do have help. I mean, it's not a one-man band at all. There's always support. And there's 5 members in the team in Work Show Grow. Mm. So it's not just me doing everything at all, even though it's founder facing and it's always me that's like, hey, yeah, right. There is a whole, there's a whole team of support behind, but there is a point now where it's naturally started to happen. I mean, I've just done 3 residencies since September, like short micro week residencies. And what's happened with my practice is I've realized more what I need. So going away for even 5 days and just immersing myself, like festering in an idea, I'm going to get so much more than getting caught moments at home. So that's what I have to kind of bring into my practice, maybe every quarter, knowing that I'm going to go away for 2 weeks, and that's going to be my main thinking time and making time. Mm. And then in between times, I'm quite good at snatching moments. I call them like snatched moments, like quickly going to the library or quickly going to see an exhibition. To keep things buoyant, but then knowing that I've got that deep thinking and making time.
Wonderful. Okay, last question. Mm-hmm. What's next for Work Show Grow?
Yeah, what's next for Work Show Grow? And
how can people find you?
Yeah,
that really want to get involved in this community?
Yeah, so we have different things inside the community. So workshowgrow.com is our website, and then it's also Work Show Grow on Instagram. And we have our school community. So it's like people have a monthly subscription, and inside that subscription, you get a crit every month. So you can come together and talk about your work in progress and get peer feedback. It's amazing for accountability. And then also we have a resources library. So anything we've ever...
All the videos, all the
videos, all videos are workshops. We've got about nearly 200 videos now.
Wonderful.
So it's a bit like Netflix for art. So you can go in and you can just pop in what it is you want, and then you can watch a 30-minute to a 3-hour video on a particular topic. So that's an incredible resource. Mm-hmm. And then we also have our live workshops and mentorships every month as well. And then we do meetups, and we do a retreat every year as well, a residency, which are great fun. So that's the school program. But then I also have an expansion program, which is where I work on a 3 to 4 month program with just 10 artists, where they have one-to-one coaching with me. And in Work Show Grow style, it's me as a mentor, but we also have a coach as well. Mm. So we're working with artists to help disseminate their work at the next level. And sometimes it might be a limiting belief. It might be a block that they have. So that's why we have an incredible coach that helps them as well. So we do the 2 things together, and they have peer support and workshops. And then we also have our funding course as well. So we've just made that fully videos that you can go through. It's like 11 hours of videos. Wow. And it's been amazing to help artists get money. But also we talk about money mindset. We talk about what does your money story as a child, how does that show up in the way that you go out and get funding? I was just recently doing a workshop where I gave an example of what that might look like. It's like, for example, when I grew up, we didn't have much money. We were involved with social services, and it was tricky. And I remember I hated going to the supermarket because so often my mum would have to give food back because we wouldn't have enough money for food. Mm. And so it's like the way that would show up today as an art practice is, why would I apply for funding if I know that person might say, no, you can't have that? So that experience of younger childhood, of someone saying, no, you can't have food, why would I put myself in the position for a funder to say, no, you can't have money? Mm-hmm. And so it's that working through some of those blocks that allow us to have resilience and allow us to go out and get the funding. So we talk about that a lot inside the funding program as well, which I just think is so unique. Yeah. Like, you can Google, how do I get funding? but for a space to actually, inside a safe space in a community, allow you to unlock some of those things.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of our funding calls,
Yeah,
particularly.
it's really, really, as a therapist,
Yeah.
it's really, really important.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Natasha, thank you very much for
Thank
making
you
the
so
time.
much.
It's wonderful to see you again. And
Great.
the
Thank
best
you.
to you and all this stuff. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.